Real estate offers various passive income strategies with unique approaches. Purchasing rental properties provides income through tenant rentals, with property managers often handling daily tasks. Turnkey properties, already renovated with tenants in place, allow investors to earn income immediately with minimal involvement. Real estate investment trusts offer another option, allowing investors to buy shares in companies that own or finance income-generating properties. REITs trade like stocks, offering dividends and liquidity. Crowdfunding lets investors pool resources for large real estate projects, requiring less capital and providing diversified options without direct ownership. Real estate syndication involves partnerships in larger properties managed by a general partner, allowing passive income without active involvement. Each approach has unique benefits and requires careful selection and management to optimize returns, offering investors a pathway to consistent passive income through real estate investments.
So Lane, what was your first real estate deal that really convinced you that passive real estate income was scalable?
So I bought a house to live in 2009. I was in my early 20s at that time, and I was traveling all over for work, never really home. So I decided to just rent it out. Wasn't quite a dress in my closet, but it was kind of the home I lived in. And that was when I was hooked. I realized that just by doing a buy and hold rental, no house flipping, that I was able to make significant passive income. I think it required, I think I got like maybe $400 per month. And that was a lot of beer money to a kid back then. But realized like, wow, if I just rinse, wash, repeat and did this several more times, I'll be out of the rat race. So, but then I realized that was in Seattle, Washington, where prices are really high. We call those primary markets, where the rent to value ratios are well under 1%. So then I kind of wised up and, bought in other places like Birmingham, Atlanta, Indianapolis, where all these little turnkey rentals were at.
It's worth mentioning that you were able to do that in your 20s because you were also known as the ramen noodle guy.
Well, I was paleo back then, back in the early 2000s, but yeah, people identify with that saying, right? You live frugally. I mean, in my early 20s, I didn't live anywhere. I just lived on the road and kind of smooching off of the company expenses. And I was able to save like $80,000, $100,000 a year for maybe 4 or 5 years. So that was really where it all started. I mean, just plowing that down payments into properties for 4 or 5 years in a row.
Yep, that's powerful. Justin, how much money did you need to get started in the RVs and mobile homes?
Well, how much I started with is probably different than what you need. I think it all comes down to the size of park that you're looking for. Because that asset, and by the way, if you're going to do some sort of like bank lending where you're probably going to have to put down 20-25%, or maybe if you're with a more conservative bank, even up to 30% versus like a seller finance scenario. Because with seller finance, maybe you can get away with nothing down, or 5 or 10 or 15%. So it's really just size. It's probably going to be based on the NOI of that asset, unless, I mean, the cool thing about mobile home parks is it's a lot of baby boomers. And so they often don't value it based on what it's worth as a multiple of NOI. They value it based on, in their head, what they want it to be worth. And sometimes that comes in way higher than it's worth, but sometimes it comes in way lower than it's worth, So you could easily get away with putting no money down or putting little down. My very first deal that I ever did was $65,000 down, and that was 15% of this park. And I was making over, so that deal, it was actually, I made, I think, 54% cash on cash return. So it was a really good first deal.
It is a great first deal. If we take a step back for a second, can you talk a little bit about the mindset shift that helps people transition from maybe owning a single rental to becoming a lifestyle investor?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thesis of the lifestyle investor, it's really just helping people understand that there is a way that you can buy your time back and live a life by design, not a life by default. And so that can be done in various different avenues. I mean, everyone here is an expert at the thing that they do. And for someone listening, you could just go deep into any one of the things that any of us are talking about, and you can find success. The key, I think, is to really just pick the blueprint that you think is going to work best and model it and do it to a T. So whichever strategy sounds the best, or whichever one is, you're the most interested in, or whichever one maybe is the least amount of work because you're, slammed at your day job, you pick a lane and you just go. But I think the mindset shift around it is that really anyone can do it. They just have to be committed to it, and they've got to have a process to it. And if you can get someone else's playbook and just copy it, which I feel like I'm the master copycat. I just figure out who's best in class, and then I just copy them. A lot of people think what I'm doing is my own original ideas. I just find whoever's the best at it because I don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Valuable lesson. Deacon, I noticed that you've reviewed a lot of real estate platforms and crowdfunding real estate platforms on your website. What have you learned?
Yeah, I've learned a lot over the years. I personally invested in a lot of crowdfunding deals over the years. What I found, though, is they typically underperform the stock market. There are fees involved with them managing these properties, right? So while they might get, let's say, 12% return after the fees and everything, maybe you're getting 9.5%. So it is a way to go. If you're like, hey, I want to have some real estate exposure, there's some opportunity there for sure. But you have less control. Sometimes, from my experience, less returns than if you obviously were to have a property yourself. But that is definitely a viable option.
Nick, your thoughts? Do you get involved in real estate?
It's been probably 20 years since my last direct investment into a rental property, but it was a really important experience. Like going back to, your first, what did that first deal cost you? For me, it was about $13,000 down. Maybe it was a 5% down note. And that was, money that I earned from painting houses in college, with kind of to Lane's idea of how do I take my active income and allocate that into, a passive income strategy, and hopefully that can snowball over time. You think of your income as a pie chart, right? And everybody starts out trading time for money, and it's 100% active income. It's probably your day job if you're just getting started. But it's like, if you ever want to stop working or have the option to stop working, like, you need to grow, maybe it starts with a sliver of a rental property or some interest on a savings account or some dividend investment, but you got to keep working on that passive income piece of the pie chart, because nobody else is going to do it for you.
Let's go to segment 3. We're going to talk about dividend investing.